Hello, and welcome once again to Skillopedia, the place to learn skills for the real world. My name is Rima, and today we're going to talk about something very interesting and important. We're going to talk about how you can be a star in your boss's eyes. Now, as employees, all of us want our boss to praise us. We want our boss to think that we're capable, that we're unique, that we're basically a star. And that's exactly what we're going to talk about. I have a few tips. If you really apply these tips in your workplace, I promise you, your boss is going to think of you as a star. And the first tip, very simple but difficult to practice. It's called walk the talk. Meaning, do what you say what you mean. So if you make a commitment at your workplace, you have to make sure that you deliver. Now let's say you told your boss that you will do a certain follow-up, or you told your boss that you will have a certain client meeting or send a certain email. Well, make sure that you do what you say and back up your words with action, because then your boss will start relying on you, your boss will start looking at you as somebody who's reliable, capable, and that will earn you a lot of points in his eyes. I know sometimes, because life is hectic and your routine is hectic, it's not always possible to keep all your commitments. But if you've made a commitment to your boss, make sure you keep it, because that little extra effort will take you a long way. Tip I have for you is be proactive. Okay, so as a boss, if you were a boss, would you like an employee who always needs to be told what to do? Somebody who doesn't really think for himself or herself? No, right? Nobody likes such an employee. So make sure that you don't become such an employee. Be a proactive employee, meaning come up with wonderful ideas, execute them, show results. Be somebody who's willing to take responsibility, somebody who's willing to put in extra effort, somebody who is able to stretch his or her abilities beyond your role, because it's always very important to show your boss that you're a proactive worker who values his position in the company and who's willing to go the extra mile. A proactive person is also a self-motivated person. So somebody who's proactive is motivated of his or her own accord, which means that person is always driven, always very, very serious about the work that he or she does, and such an employee is definitely an asset to the team. So there is no way your boss is not going to notice you if you are a proactive worker. Trust me, be proactive and become a star. Now the next tip I have for you is a little difficult to execute. It's called choose request over complaint. Now workplaces can sometimes be challenging for you to keep your calm, to keep your cool, to really be able to work harmoniously with everyone present. Now, there may be times when you encounter certain interpersonal problems with certain people at your workplace, and you may have to bring up that issue with your boss. But when you're talking to your boss, how you're putting it forward becomes very, very important. If you're going to be an employee who goes and complains to his or her boss, that is not going to show you in a really positive light. But if you choose a request over a complaint, it shows your maturity, it also shows your professionalism and team spirit. Like for example, let's say you're having a little problem receiving cooperation from the marketing team. Okay, and you go up to your boss and start complaining about how inefficient and unsupportive they are. Trust me, your boss is going to look at you as somebody who's just complaining. But if you go up to your boss and say something like, you know what, I just wanted to share something with you. I have a request. If you could support me in working with the marketing team, I would really appreciate it. Now, this request will really show your professionalism. It might even lead to good relationship between you and the marketing team in future, And yes, your boss will definitely trust you more and think of you as a star. The next tip I have for you requires you to do a lot of brain work. It's called Become the Solution Queen or the Solution King. Now, what does this mean? Life, they say, is full of problems, and organizations, offices, companies are no different. There are going to be challenges and problems at every step. And yes, we know it's your boss's responsibility to resolve things or come up with solutions. But if you become that one team member who's solution king or solution queen, meaning if you really work hard on trying to come up with a solution, if you really do that extra ideating, that extra creative thinking, and come up with a creative solution for problems, you will really be highlighted as an asset, as a star in your team. And in the process of coming up with solutions, you will also hone your own skills of problem solving. And these are a great asset. So whether it's for your boss or for yourself, you must become the solution king or the solution queen of the office. And that way, you are definitely on your way to becoming the office star. Now, the next tip I have for you in order to become a star in your boss's eyes has got to do with that one word behind which everyone's running. And that word's called growth. That's right. Well, my tip for you is manage your own growth. Now, if you have a vision for yourself in the company, if you want to grow at a certain pace, make sure you're working on yourself. Make sure you're working hard, you're working sincerely, you're doing all the things correctly in order to go on the path of that growth. There are certain employees who keep waiting to be grown, meaning they keep relying on their bosses to work on their growth. And that happens to be the biggest mistake they can ever make. If you want to work on your own growth, it's the best thing you can do for yourself, because that way you become ambitious, you become a go-getter, you become good at your work, you become a sincere, hard-working employee. And your boss can see your efforts. The moment he starts seeing and noticing your efforts, you not only become a star in his eyes, but your growth is then assured. So make sure that you're not sitting back and relying on your boss to make sure that you grow. Make sure that you become a go-getter and manage your own growth in the organization in order to become a star. Now, in order to become a star in your boss's eyes, it's important that you become a star team player. That's right. We all have to work with people. We all have to work in teams, large or small. It's important to be someone who's great to work with, someone who's really supportive, someone who's friendly, positive, and someone who has great interpersonal skills. When you become a star team player, you become popular amongst your colleagues, you develop good relationships, you make the work atmosphere easy and positive, and that makes the boss notice you. Because all he frankly wants is people who enjoy working with each other and who work well together. So, well, if you end up becoming the boss's dream employee, what stops you from becoming a star in his eyes? So make sure that you're a good team player in order to prove that you're a good employee. And the last tip I have for you in order to become a star in your boss's eyes is actually quite interesting. You have to ease your boss's life. Now you're wondering, how can you ease your boss's life? Well, I'm not suggesting that you do domestic chores for your boss, because that would be completely unprofessional. I'm trying to tell you that you should make the process of working very easy for your boss. So let's say your boss mentions to you in passing that there's a new project coming up. If you can do some prior research for this project and submit it to your boss, it will kind of ease the workload on him. Okay, if you see certain glitches or hitches in the workplace, if you look for solutions and go to the boss with new ideas, creative solutions without being asked to do so, your boss might appreciate your efforts, because all said and done, all a boss wants is an employee who's not only selfish, who's not just looking for his own growth, but who's also thinking in the company's interest. When the boss sees you as a person who really is loyal to the company and thinks in the interest of the company, you will definitely become a star in his eyes. Well, I really hope that you've enjoyed listening to these tips which will make you a star in your boss's eyes. Now, none of these are solutions that will make you a star overnight. So keep working hard, slow and steady wins the race. And yes, do subscribe to all our videos and keep enjoying the process of learning. This is me, Rima, signing out. Keep watching Skillopedia, the place to learn skills for the real world.